Hey, this is Rick with Social Good Software. Thank you so much for having interest in turning on this option within the software. You're about to enable the option to be able to send the same email to the same recipient multiple times. Now, you're more than welcome to enable this option. However, it does come with a warning. You need to make sure you have it set up correctly. Because if you don't have it set up correctly, you can end up in the scenario where this email can go out to the same person multiple times per second. So it's really important that you can get it set up correctly. Otherwise, you will run into issues. So there's just two things you have to take into consideration to have this email set up correctly. We require two things here. The first one here is you need to have a node type. Node type needs to be configured on the email. So you need to have the node type configured. In this case, it would be e-ticket email. This can vary from email to email that you might be working on. You just need to have a node type attached inside the email designer, and it needs to match exactly what you have in your query. Okay. And then the second option here is that you need to have node type on your query that matches your email. You need to have a node type on your query that matches your email. So from step number 1 here, so if you go back to this one here, step number 1 here, the node type needs to be configured at the email. So you do this at the email designer level. And then node type on your query needs to match your email on the email designer. So this is the node type. This is the exact same node type we also need to have on our email. So you need to have those two things correct. That one needs to be correct. That one needs to be correct. And then finally, last but not least, this checkbox needs to be checked. So it's really, really important that this checkbox is checked. And then you have this criteria here. Not one of, and this checkbox is checked. Now, if you don't select this checkbox and you don't do not one of, and if you don't do this correctly, then this email with this option enabled will go out to the recipient multiple times per second. So it's really, really, really important that you take the time and make sure you have this configured. So let's go ahead and just take it from the top. So step number 1 here is you need to have a note attached to the email that matches your query. So that's step 1. Okay. And then step 2, you need to have a node type selected on your query with the checkbox checked. And that's step 2. Okay. It's not too bad once you get the hang of it, but essentially you need to have step 1, then step 2, and then finally the last and final step here, step 3, make sure you have the only return records option checked. And that's step number 3 here, which is this last and final option right there. So you need to have that checked. You need to have this option also checked, not one of. And then you also need to have this node type on the email designer. And you also need to have it on your query. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Let me go ahead and show you now in the email designer what it actually looks like. So if you see here I am in the email designer. And if I go to node type, you'll see here's my node type already selected. And then we need to make sure that that node type matches our query, which it does. And I have my little checkbox checked. So you need to go again to the node type, make sure that option is checked there, and make sure it matches your query there. All right, so it's going to go ahead and do it here for me. Make sure you have those 3 things selected correctly. Then you'll be able to move forward with enabling this option. And that's going to go ahead and do it here for me. Once again, this is Rick from Social Good Software. Hopefully you found this video helpful. We're always looking to improve and make things better. If something was not clearly explained in this video, or maybe you just are still a little bit confused and have some additional questions that we didn't talk about in the video, don't worry, we're here to help. Please go over to Social Good Software /feedback. You're able to provide us feedback on this training. You're able to provide us feedback on the software. We're always looking to improve. So if you have any suggestions, please reach out to us. Again, socialgoodsoftware.com /feedback. You'll be able to go ahead and share your thoughts with us, and we're always happy to help.